I'm a little scared, wondering who this is, and figured out who it was real quick. And I went over to talk to him, and he said, "Hey, did you see this new bike we're working on?" So I got my first glimpse of a new Chieftain about a year before they hit the industry, before they hit the street. And he let me take that thing for a quick test drive, and I put about 3 miles on it. Came back and said, "I'm going to need one of these." And we talked price tags and options, and I said, "I don't know that I'm going to need one that bad. My Boulevard C90 might stick around a while yet." So, which it did for a couple of years. And I've worked and jumped, Indian ride since now. So,
So what's your favorite bike to tune?
Honestly, I really love the FTR.
Oh, yeah.
That is, man, I didn't really like them when they came out. I wasn't a big fan. And through one of the rider groups here that I'm part of, I actually won one in a raffle.
Oh, wow.
Which was super cool. And my first real introduction into those bikes, and get one back in the shop and be able to really spend some quality time with it on the dyno and learn it and figure out what those bikes are capable of. And I absolutely fell in love with that thing. But about a year of ownership and riding it, and it had to go because I was going to kill myself on it.
Oh, wow.
It's just one of those bikes where you get on it and it just effortlessly does everything. And you find yourself coming out of corners way too fast and riding way too aggressively for the conditions without trying to. And I had to think about my kids and my life and go, yeah, this thing needs to go. Before
Isn't that the one they discontinued?
Yes.
I believe
that was a mistake.
No, I don't think they ever really sold well. I really think those bikes didn't have a good following in general at all. And I don't think it was a bad bike. I don't think it was engineering. It wasn't anything about the bike. It was our U.S. industry and market.
Do you think
consumer base here just doesn't want that bike?
Do you think it was before its time for Indian?
It might have been a little bit. Yeah, I think had they come out with an air-cooled version of it, they probably would have sold better initially, and then moved into a liquid or something. But then they wouldn't have been as dominant on the flat track like they were.
Well, and another thing, I think with King of the Baggers and the popularity it is right now, I think if they release something like that now, it'd be much more, ready to go.
Well, also you see a lot of people buying the Challengers and Pursuits and those bikes and turning them into bagger racers essentially for the street. It's a really, really popular thing to do right now.
Well, it seems like more people are looking for it now.
I mean, it had basically the same kind of horsepower and torque that the Challenger does, with a much higher rev limit and about half the weight. So, yeah, that thing's an animal. Yeah.
Looks like
they really are. They're a fun bike. I mean, someday I might buy another one just to have it around and occasionally ride, but for now we're gonna stick with something a little slower for my system.
Just to give you a heads up, Ryan, I don't know if you're on your laptop. I think it's the right side. There's maybe a pop-up window you can see comments. Just to get you. See?
No, I can't. I see no comments. Oh wait, maybe. I bet you it's closed. There it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
I found it.
There it is. Okay.
I opened it. I had to expand it.
It's all good. If you just would, I mean, I don't know what that was. That was a ding. But anyway,
I didn't do it.
It was
probably Chris.
It was different. I wasn't me.
Yeah. High school tech guy.
Yeah, high school.
And it wasn't a rubber chicken, so I know it wasn't the dog.
Yeah, I mean, if you feel like answering somebody's question or something like that, go ahead. That's fine with us. I know we're going to the stories. Mark McDave here, which is from Columbus. I know him. He's a really good guy. He said he got a tune from you, and he said Roadmaster gave me a totally different bike. Thank you, he said.
So, no, you're welcome. Thank you for the business. Yeah. We like to say we love hearing that information back. Yep. Yes, but I know for our customers that have called in, many of them have talked to Katie. She's essentially a bubbly Barbie doll that looks like Wednesday Addams. And so she's a little different than what you think. And a lot of people, and she's just really sweet and bubbly and whatever and happy all the time. And people kind of dismiss her occasionally based on how she sounds on the phone. And they don't realize that, she grew up in a multi-line dealership. Her family owns a dealer that's actually about 3 blocks down the road from us. And, at 41 years old, she has raced motocross semi-professionally in her past. She has more knowledge in this industry than a lot of people will ever have, and is a really valuable asset to our business. So I got to give a big shout out to Katie, because without her, I wouldn't have a right arm in this place.
Nice.
I love it. That's fantastic, Katie.
I do want to ask one question before we leave this subject, though.
Mm-hmm.
Although the majority of our audience are Indian riders, we do have a lot of subsets here with the Harleys and the Kawasaki Vaqueros and those kind of bikes. Do you still dabble and tune with those kind of bikes too?
A little bit here and there. I mean, we'll take them on a select basis, basically. I had a Harley come in today. We had to do some stuff for him. He had a Power Vision that just shorted out on him. He's actually on a road trip passing through today, and just found us online and called us, and we happened to have the right unit on the shelf for him, and he popped in and we got him taken care of. So small part of our business. I mean, we handful of Harleys a week, not really as many. But yeah, we don't usually turn them away. Depend, some of the other stuff, the lesser brands, maybe don't do as much with, because we just don't have the equipment, maybe, or I just don't have the knowledge base. So sometimes we have to, just turn people away based on comfort and confidence in our ability. I don't want to mess your vehicle up. I'd rather make sure I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And refer you to a better source if need be. Absolutely.
Where is your shop located at?
We are in Cambridge, Minnesota, about 45 minutes north of Minneapolis, St. Paul.
That's awesome. So I know one of the things that we talked about earlier, and one of your original stories is about a supercharger. You want to talk about that bad boy?
So we have it's become affectionately known as the Spider-Man bike. It's one of a number that Frank Highland owns. He's got a bomber bike and a few other cool customs that he's done, and we're in the middle of building another one for him right now. That we did a Lloyd supercharger kit on that with the 116 up from the 111, some custom Carrillo rods and a whole bunch of other parts in it. Apparently the stock motor doesn't hold the power we were trying to build, so we went through a few motors on that, trying to get that up and running and going. That bike is a monster. It's in that 180-ish horsepower and torque range. We keep it on a slightly detuned tune for Ford, so that he doesn't get hurt. But when he wants to take it to a dyno night or do something show-offy with it, he just plugs his tuner in and uploads the fast tune, and off he goes. So,
nice.
So I did just see a question there, something about a used FTR, or where did that pop in?
Yes.
What
really, would you look for?
Yeah, really that's for Body Snatcher, it looks like. Really the FTR, in the market where they're at now, I think the price point is buy the one that's got the most options on it, and the lowest miles, and do what you want with it. So, there's not really any engine parts or things like that to do it. You pick the exhaust you like. I do prefer, I think it was 21 when they made the head pipe and the cat all one piece. So if you can find one earlier than that, you can delete the cat easier. Not that I'm supposed to encourage that, but it's a lot easier to pop that off and throw a really great sounding exhaust on it versus having to replace the entire head pipe assembly. Saves you a lot of money. And then just get a good tune on it.
So if Les was wanting to do that, what would you advise him to do? He's got a Power Plus. I mean, you supercharge them.
We have not done that. No. I know there's one place out there's done a couple of turbos on the Power Pluses, but I've seen them and they just, to me, seem awkward. It's just not well located, and just it's hard to.
So turbo would be better.
It's a hard thing to manufacture and process on with the frame mounted intake and all that kind of stuff. It's difficult to make these bikes work with a turbocharger and any forced induction. So I don't know that that's going to be a popular option.
I know the King of the Baggers actually have the second phase breather on the opposite side now. I don't know if that's going to come down in the future.
Yeah, and that for them, that's just a matter of, I believe, just reversing the the intake and putting the throttle body on the other side. Just turning it around. So that's a relatively easy thing for them to accomplish because they're running all aftermarket everything. There's no factory CU, there's no factory throttle bodies, none of that on those bikes. So, there isn't much on them that's a factory original part other than maybe the engine case. I think everything else on them is pretty much custom done just for those bikes.
Yeah.
So,
I just want to remind
everybody. I'm no expert in the King of Baggers bikes by any means. So,
that it's really serious about tuning and stuff like that we will spend a little bit of time on. We're going to do questions here and, at the pretty end of the show before we wrap it up. I gave you guys the link right there. It is the link. Make sure you go to throttleiron.com/live. We have a couple questions in there already. And if you do ask a crazy question, I do have the ban button there. So just give you a heads up.
You get a ban button. Do I get banned or do they?
No, they get banned.
It's actually been used a time or two.
Yes, it has. It's been great.
Competition to see who could get banned first.
Yeah. But also like and subscribe to the podcast if you're new to the podcast. We have a podcast every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have a live channel where you can watch the reruns of our podcast. We literally have, I think it's 16 days worth of podcasts. We've been waiting for this for a while to be able to share this with everybody. But yeah, it's freaking crazy. So anyway, let's get back to him. So I guess tuning. I know we talked a little bit of tuning, and I think I'm going to go in a little bit more in depth in the 101 of tuning. So if somebody wanted to get a tune, it's better to get some aftermarket exhaust, probably get rid of the cat delete, like you said, maybe get a second, what is it? The intake and breather. What else should they get before they come to you?
Yes and no.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So the thing that I'm going to kind of let a little cat out of the bag here.
Okay.
One of the big industry secrets that a lot of guys don't want to let you know because they want to sell you all the parts.
Yeah.
You go to the dealer, you spend $1,800 on a high flow intake and a set of slip-ons, and they flash it to stage 1, and you leave, and you're like, oh my God, my bike has so much more power. 99% of that was in the tune. It was not in the parts that you bolted on that you spent $1,700 on.
Nice.
So these bikes are, if you haven't seen throttle maps and curves and the shapes of the ramps and that kind of stuff, all of these bikes are limited from the factory in throttle opening percentage and torque percentage and power delivery right out of the box. And you bolt on all the parts and they lift those limitations a small percentage. They increase the throttle rate so that when you twist the grip, it responds a little quicker. And your seat of the pants says, oh my God, I gained a bunch of power because I got all this money spent. Most of these bikes, you can tune them stock and get almost everything out of them that you're going to get without the intake and exhaust change. It doesn't make that much difference with those parts.
So Ryan, that seat of the pants thing that you talked about there, it's called the assometer.
Yes, the butt dyno. Yes,
butt dyno.
Yes. Yeah, so your butt dyno thinks, oh my God, I gained 100 horsepower, and you didn't. But, when you twist the throttle, the correlation from your wrist to your brain is faster, so you think it's quicker. So same thing with the drive modes on these newer bikes. The standard mode, you've got to turn the throttle all the way to 100% in order to get 100% throttle body. In sport mode, they take that same curve and they compress it to 45%.
Yeah.
So at about half throttle on the twist, the throttle body's wide open. So that's why it feels like you gained a whole bunch of horsepower and a bunch of performance. Really, it's just the throttle. It's just the throttle opening twice as fast or 10 times as fast, depending on the
Sure.
So, yep.
Can you explain the difference in the two standards of tuning? I've seen videos on this, and I really don't understand it. And if I'm saying it wrong, please correct me. There's two readings on every dyno chart. Two readings on every dyno chart, right?
Well, most dyno shops, if they're being, pretty clear on what they're doing, they're going to bring a bike in, they're going to put it on the dyno before they make any changes, and they're going to do several polls and get a baseline average. most shops will probably grab the one with the lowest number of the, of 3 poles so they can make the bigger number, of course, marketing. We try not to do that. We try to grab an average, take the middle one as much as we can. And then they'll do their work, retune the bike, and then they'll show you after changes. So you can compare what changed between the two lines. And the bigger those gaps are, the more you gained in that area. So it is really critical when you're looking at dyno charts. Don't focus so much on the 2 numbers at the bottom, where you're gaining, because all that tells you is the peak number of maximum to maximum. You have to look at the lines and what changes, where it changes. If you can pick up 25 horsepower, but if from say 0 to 4,000 RPMs, you gain 1 or 2, and then it all gains up over 4,000 RPMs, that's not a real streetable function. How many of you guys are riding around at, close to the rev limit on your bike all day long? Nobody. So you got to look at where the power gains are and how they're done. And that's something that we focus really hard on with our tuning, is maximizing the big low end torque and power gains, down there, down where everybody drives, that 2,000-3,000 RPM range where you're spending most of your time.
Okay. Maybe I didn't say that right. Are there 2 different maps in tuning when you run it on a dyno? Are there 2 different maps that do something? One's good and one's bad?
The baseline number would be on whatever map was in the ECU when the bike showed up. So it could be a full 100% stock bike, all stock tuned, or it could have some bolt-ons and still be stock tuned, or have another company's tune in it, whatever it is that you're starting with. So you always want, ideally, to show your customer honest data. You want to have a baseline, and then you want to show them the after. So when you see a lot of these